Welcome back to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on the show. Good to see you guys. And yeah, let's start. Yeah. You guys are ready? All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is about the NDAs. Remember I talked to you about the NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, right? So these things are papers that usually someone with power makes you sign so they can say or do whatever you want to you. So then you don't disclose that to the public. That is what an NDA is. If you are being asked to sign an NDA, it's because someone wants to hurt you, will say something that they shouldn't, or they already did it and they want you to not disclose it. That is what an NDA is. And I know from experience. Maybe one day I'll tell you guys a story, but I was almost forced to sign an NDA by an A-lister, and then I can't talk about what happened. So it isn't as bad as other NDAs as we're gonna talk, but still it made me feel awful, and I feel, yeah, if you're as an artist are asked to sign an NDA, don't do it. That's my best advice so far, because that's how they got all the gallery girls, you know, like all the gallery people and non-gallery girls that the creeps are predating on. Like they just make them sign NDAs and they can't disclose what happened. Sometimes they get paid, sometimes not, but that's what an NDA is. And look at this.
Mr. Black, did you know about Epstein's abuse of young girls when you were paying him for financial management services?
Why is nobody talking about this? Why is this not being talked by every artist, every art magazine or whatever? Like this is literally everything. And that's why, again, like I explained before, the art world is in the space that it is because of people like this. Like this guy, Leon Black, a collector, quote unquote, he now has refused to talk about his NDAs. He freaked out and left the conversation when he was testifying because of his involvement with the Epstein files. And if you say like, oh, maybe it's a misleading article, whatever, look at this.
This is the first time in the Epstein investigation that we have had a witness in this case walk out in the middle of a congressional inquiry in which he had agreed to testify in front of the committee. Now, Leon Black is really at the center of this case. There are only two men with whom Jeffrey Epstein was close, had the kinds of ties where we know hundreds of millions of dollars were flowing to Epstein and financing Epstein's criminal behavior, as well as his business ties, as well as are actually accused by women of sexual assault and abuse. And it's Les Wexner and it's Leon Black. And Leon Black appears in the files thousands of times. Now, when he was asked about his relationships with women and these NDAs that were forced upon the women, not only did he refuse to answer questions, he abruptly decided that he had to meet with his counsel, and then the next thing we knew, he was walking out of the room.
Was there a particular question that set him off? Did he say anything as he was getting up and walking out?
It was the NDAs. It was very clearly the NDAs. Now, I think it's interesting that his attorney is claiming that it was a political stunt and we didn't ask about the financial ties. Well, we had just begun our questioning. In fact, the first 40 minutes or so inside the room were his opening statement, in which he got to make his own statements about what his relationship with Epstein was. But we had just gotten into the meat of questions about accusers, about NDAs, about financial ties, and we had hours of questions to ask him. So that certainly was not the plan.
About how much time was it into the testimony that he left?
I would say it was about probably 30 minutes into the majority's questioning. So it just started.
Yeah. In the middle of that interview, when Comer issues these two subpoenas about the NDAs, I wonder what you were hoping to learn from them, what you thought of the decision to issue the subpoenas.
Well, I want to say I appreciate that Chairman Comer was prepared to hold clearly one of the most important people in this case accountable. He showed up. His attorneys were ready to issue subpoenas if the witness was non-cooperative. But these should have been under oath to begin with. I mean, that's what we've been asking for and the survivors have been asking for all along. These witnesses should not be allowed to appear in front of the committee and just answer questions they want to. This is a congressional inquiry. But we are appreciative of the bipartisan effort to hold him accountable. But at the end of the day, there are multiple women who have accused Leon Black of sexual assault and violent rape. And we want to get to the bottom of what happened. If there are charges to be brought, we certainly want to bring that to light. And we need to understand the nature of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, because it was his money, the hundreds of millions of dollars that were transferred to Jeffrey Epstein that were financing Epstein's lifestyle. So whether or not he claims that he had direct knowledge of what Epstein was up to, his money was financing it.
In a recent private meeting, I understand that a group of survivors pointed Comer to specific allegations from the files that they wanted further investigation on. Do you have any updates there?
Well, I know that the survivors have opened up an open line of communication with Chairman Comer, and I do believe that part of why he was more prepared today to hold Leon Black accountable is because the survivors shared stories. And, you know, regardless of how Leon Black tried to paint these allegations, I think there is very strong evidence of abuse there. And I think the survivors continuing to put pressure on Congress and on the chairman have been very, very important.
Why is nobody talking about this? I don't understand. The art dealer to the gang, remember? Why is nobody talking about this? From the Epstein files, we know that Epstein, Leon Black, and Larry Gagosian were pals. And now two of them, well, one of them is dead. The other one's testifying because of all his rapes and alleged like torturing of people. Are we gonna see Larry going to court? I would like to see him testify and talk about what happened with him and his involvement with Epstein. Why is Epstein hiring people at Gagosian Gallery? Why is he giving stipends to people? Why anything like this? People are still around. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's why we are where we are. And nobody wants to talk about it. People are still lionizing this guy and being like, oh, he's sublime and whatever. And yeah, he made a lot of money, but nobody's seen the other side of the coin. And why women especially are afraid to be in the art world because of people like this. And now they're all going to jail. That's the thing. You keep avoiding talking about it, but this is going to happen. Like, it's already happened. That's what I said. Like, why would we be talking about this, right? Maybe we should be talking about the Jerry Saltz documentary or Jerry Saltz retirement fund, which is really what that is. Like, it's irrelevant. Who cares? What matters is that we're safe in the art world and nobody wants to talk about that. Why? I don't understand. Jerry Gagosian's dead. I never met her, and I'm sorry for saying that you're a slop, but that's what I believe and believed when I said it. And yeah, I'm sorry for what happened to you in Brazil, and who knows what really happened. They said it's a cosmetic procedure, which should be a warning for anybody wanting to get a procedure in Brazil. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you... Really? But yeah, that's the art world, you know, like that's who we have in it and who people like even look up to. Like, that's so weird. Like, even this guy from the gallery called Sycamore Jenkins or whatever, that was murder in Brazil, and supposedly his ex-husband hired someone to kill him. It's like, yeah, these are the kind of people that are here, you know, like that's why we are here, because of low quality art dealers. Low quality art dealers again. I've been saying over and over and over and over why these art dealers are so low quality and we're supposed to just accept them. Like, that's literally Stockholm syndrome. Like, everybody in the art world has Stockholm syndrome with regards to their dealers. Like, was like, oh, that's all we got. Now we love them, even though he's known for like obscene phone calls. Like, yeah, obscene phone calls. Dealer to the worst kind of people, unmarried, creeping on young girls. Like, follow the lead. Follow the lead. What is so hard? I don't understand. Art Not of Net, that weird account, the Perez Hilton of the art world, posted this thing. And I've been seeing a lot of people arguing about the Kunz Evian thing that I predicted. Let's take a break with Evian again. Hydrating artists since, I don't know when it was made, but somewhere, sometime. So yeah, months before Kunz announced his collaboration, I told you that this is going to happen and needs to happen. It's a good thing. We need to get out. We need to get out of this creepy art dealers that want to get us in cahoots with the financiers, because that's where it leads. Well, exactly what's happening now, it's because of this bank people. And it doesn't matter if you don't get it. It's like, nobody asked for this. We don't get it. Yes, because you're not an artist, because you're not number one. You don't even know what it means. You don't know what the economics of being creative are. Stop commenting if you see someone making money off art in any way. Like, you do your own. Artists need money to make their dreams come true. And that is true now as if it was 8,000 years ago, 45,000 years ago. Like, forever, we always have needed money to achieve our dreams again. And our dreams is art, and art is what lasts. So just think about that. Always, 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 artists have looked for ways to make money to finance their art at any moment. When the patrons are corrupt, when the dealers are corrupt, artists have been positioned in a way that they need to find other ways to find that money. Right now, that is commerce. And that's okay. I don't understand why people are upset and they're saying like, oh no, it's over, or something like that, being like, oh, that's a bad thing, it's new, whatever. Again, coming back to Andy, right? Always come back to Andy. 1960s, right? 1967, I think it was exactly, but Andy was looking for ways to make more money, and he created this fragrance or cologne, whatever you want to call it. And he named it You're In. The first name for it was toilet water, right? But then people were like, no, it's not going to be good. So he made this cologne named You're In. And what he did is he used old Coca-Cola bottles, the tiny ones, the glass ones, and he filled them with the perfume and then capped them and sold them. That's what he was doing, Andy. Imagine if Kunz came up with his new fragrance or whatever. Like, that would be amazing, but people would react horribly. But for what? It already happened, and it's good. Who cares? That's the thing. If you care, it's because you're a loser. That's the thing. Please stop talking about people selling out. That's disgusting. If you are even talking about someone else making money, you sound sour. That's the truth. And untalented. So just do whatever you want, but stop judging people for making money. I don't understand. And by people, I mean artists, right? So the thing with Andy got so big by him selling those perfumes that Coca-Cola sent him a cease and desist letter. Like, that's how much, like, how crazy his life was. Like, just imagine right now a contemporary artist that would do something like that and then receive a cease and desist from a big corporation. Like, that's what we need to be doing. And not everybody wants to live this ethical life with unethical dealers. So, like, I don't understand. But let's take a break for our sponsor, Just Water. Not Evian, just water. Oh my God. That's good. That's New York water. I can taste it. Yep. Thank you, Just Water. I love you. So yeah, before Michael Jordan, Paris Hilton, Katy Perry, I don't know who like has those fragrances. Like Warhol had his fragrance. That's how long it took, like 30, 40 years for people to catch on even. Like that's how ahead of the curve artists are. That's what we need to be, whatever we need to be doing now in 40 years, pop stars are going to be doing, like we need to be doing crazy things like that. And yeah, coming back to what I was saying about the low quality dealers and them forcing us to go and find money in commerce because they're unable to create like mythical creatures out of artists anymore. They like to keep them even low because they want to be the ones who are the celebrity. Like, but you can say like, oh, it's always been like that. It's like, not really. Like, again, if you go back and read, one person that I wanted to talk about today is this person. Her name was Ileana Sonnabend, right? And this lady who was born in Romania but ended up in the US as a young person and developed here in New York City. She went to Columbia University and she studied psychology. See, not art, psychology, right? And she became a huge proponent of pop artists in New York City and in Paris. She's literally considered the person who created Warhol, Liechtenstein, and among other people's markets in Europe. She was doing that in Paris in the 60s. And there's many accounts of like how many paintings Warhol sent her over there and how good she was doing. And not only was she, I mean, you can talk about forever with this person of how many good things she did. She created Soho as an institution for art. Like she moved wherever she moved her gallery, everybody followed, including Chelsea. She moved to Chelsea and then everybody followed to Chelsea. But yeah, this person was amazing, and we don't have an Ileana Sonnabend right now. There is nobody like her. She gave Jeff Koons his first show, like a real show, and she was 72. Name one 72-year-old lady right now giving a 30-year-old, but Koons was 31 in 1986, a show and creating their career, not just giving them a show and then kicking them to the curb like it happens today. Like actually nurturing a career with actual money without any banks. That's the thing. And that goes to you, Jeffrey Deitch. Like no banks, and she was able to do all that. And now what? Failed artists, like I said. Failed artists is the reason why we have what we have. Again, she wasn't a failed artist. She was a psychologist. She understood the psychology of an artist and the dealers and the collectors. That's what we need. Instead of a person who understands money, nobody understands money. That's the thing. So yeah, failed artists are running us, and I talked about this before, but yeah, I want to talk again about this lady from the whole gallery. That now it's been reported again that allegedly she wasn't paying her artists, right? Like you hear that as an artist and it's like, oh yeah, they're trying and whatever. But what happens is when you sell through a gallery, let's say the painting is worth $10,000. So you sell that painting and then you receive $5,000 and the gallery keeps $5,000, but they receive it first. That's how it works. So what happens when people say like, oh, I'm not being paid, is when the gallery dips their cup into that pot. When they get paid for your money, they use it. And that, to me, needs to be punished by jail. If you're using artists' funds to finance your gallery, you need to go to jail. That's exactly what happened with this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried. That, if you don't know who he is, you've been living under a rock. But this guy had a crypto exchange where people would put in their money, and then he was using the funds for other things. Same way that this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, he wasn't using the funds of the people to doing illegal things. I'm not saying that these dealers are using the money for that, even like to pay rent or whatever, but that's still illegal. You're committing fraud. You're using the artist's funds to run your business, which should be illegal, and it will be at some point. But just, again, I said it first here. And yeah, all that, and reading about these people that have been successful art dealers in the past that didn't go to art school, it really makes me believe that art school may be the problem. Like, if your dealer went to art school, run. If your dealer is a failed artist, run. If your dealer set up to be an artist and failed, run. Literally. We need artists, or artists need people that are savvy in business, psychology, science, math, law, all of that, not just art school. Like that serves nothing. And we have, because of this past 20 or 30 years, whatever, seen what happens when people that are art students become dealers. They fail. You need something else. Like your eye or whatever, like that means nothing. Like literally means nothing. Are you savvy? That's what we need to know. Like eye is cheap. Eyes doesn't matter. Like that's what happens when we forget that art is infinitely valuable. Art is infinitely valuable, and the job of a dealer is to create the mythical story behind that artist, because every artist is infinitely valuable. Think about Andy Warhol, for example, and the Andy Warhol economy. Like there's been books about this, seminars, lectures about the Andy Warhol economy that right now is in the billions. Like think about the Frida Kahlo economy. Like that's insane. Picasso economy. Like all this are just one person who has created a full economy. There's no such thing with dealers. They can never become an economy because they didn't make the art. But they want to latch onto us and make us believe that they're also artists, but it's disgusting. The gallery seems to be dying, and I don't know if it's gonna survive. And I believe these people, the ones in charge now, are the ones who have led us here. And by these people, I mean boomers, who are art dealers. I want to talk about this guy. His name is Joe Haig. He was born in Lebanon. He moved to the UK when he was a young boy. And he studied law. And right now, he is representing the estate of David Hockney and Francis Bacon. But you're going to say why and how and whatever. Listen to this. Listen to this.
There's a saying by Steve Jobs, which is real artists ship, by which he means you actually sell things. You have to move things. You have to get things out. And if you're not really shipping, then you're not really an artist. You're just
most of the time, you're a poser. And those claims that, well, I didn't sell out. It's like, well, that's because you don't know how to and no one ever offered you the opportunity. Yeah, and people often...
Joe Haig, this guy, talks to Jordan Peterson about the economics of being creative that nobody's talking about right now. We need to talk about this guy a lot. He not only has been successfully managing estates now, but he also represents Peter Doig and Damien Hirst. that's exactly what I've been talking about. Like how we have someone who's a lawyer and now represents two of the biggest contemporaries that we have. These people, especially Peter Doig, he has only opted to show his work at institutions, proving again that the gallery is dead. David Hammons, also one of the most successful artists, American artists, and one of my heroes, he has no dealer. He only works with one person, and that's his dealer, a lady, and then he works from there, no gallery. I believe this is the future of art. And where are we going to be in like 5 years? I believe this is going to become more and more. So if you're a person who has a background in anything other than art and you want to become a dealer, this is your moment. We need people that know all things that I said before, but like to bring new things, you know, like it's so boring. Like, yeah, like I've said before, like prints are boring, right? But if they bring money to artists, then that's fine. Like I want artists to have like, yeah, like the fragrance, what I said before. I believe that the main difference between boomers and millennials are that boomers only care about aesthetics, right? And millennials, we only care about ideas. Millennials, we only care about your ideas. We don't care how you look. We don't care about the aesthetics of the situation. We only care about the ideas. And yeah, maybe that is the thing. Maybe what is happening is that the boomer gallery is dying. And one of the first symptoms is the situation with Pace. That is horrible that is happening, and I love Arnold, but that is, you can't come back from that. I don't think so. Like if you lose 50 artists, what are you saying? Like you are admitting defeat. And yeah, even if you come back to number one, whatever, like I believe it's a horrible like symptom of the boomer gallery system that this is the proof it doesn't work. And we need to move on from this instead of acting like, oh, let's revive it. Like I believe everybody needs to stop talking about selling out. Like even this guy, Joe Haig, talked a lot about it in this podcast, but I want to talk about a real experience that happened to me with a famous person when I was like 20, I think 26 or something like that. I decided to become a painter full time. And I met this famous person that maybe I'll reveal later, but I asked them, it's like, hey, like I want to become an artist. I want to be famous, but I don't want to sell out. And then he looked at me in the eye and said, well, you got to sell out to eat out. And that really stuck in my mind. And in the beginning, I didn't really understand, but every year, I understand it more that who cares? That's the thing. Like, yeah, let's make movies. Let's make food, literally. Like, I want to see artists making cookies and selling them mass production. Like, I want, yeah, shout out to Lucian Smith. Anything that brings money towards artists is what we're looking for. Let's have some more. Let's have some just water. It's not just water, it's just water. So yeah, just so we're clear, what I'm saying is that if this guy, Leon Black, goes to jail, Gagosha needs to go to jail too for doing all the creepy things they were doing, allegedly. So we'll see what happens with that. And what I'm saying is that this lady from the hall, Kathy or Katie, along with any art dealer who is using funds from an artist, needs to go to jail as well. And that we need more people like Ilian Sonnabend and Joe Haig in the art world right now, aka people with a diverse background, something other than art they can bring to art. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now let's talk about the Met. Shout out to Max Hollane, or Hollane, whatever his last name is. Hollane? I don't know. But yeah, I have a great idea for you, and I hope you're listening. I know you're listening. So I believe since Art Basel has become the Comic-Con of the art world and is boring and nobody's talking about it, and the only thing we're talking about is like the sausages and the hotel, the Three Kings Hotel, whatever, like how much is it, how expensive and whatever, like, but nobody talks about any painting that was new there. Like everything is old, everything is Picasso and whatever. Like, yeah, it's boring. Like we need new things happening in Basel, and you're gonna say like, oh yeah, we did have X and Y, but nobody cares. Like it didn't even reach the news. So, and by the news I mean the news, like the real news, like not the art news or whatever, those things that don't cover anything. Like again, why haven't you heard anything about the Gagosian situation? Nobody talks about it. Nobody writes about it. Boring publications. And coming back to Max Hollane, I'm suggesting that we make a salon, like in France, at the Met. I don't know how many artists it would be, like at least 100 or something like that. And then we display them all at the Met, and it's by submission. We have to submit the painting, and to avoid creeps judging the paintings, we have to give the 5 artists who were bought by the collection the last 5 artists by age. So the youngest artist that's in the Met collection would be the five youngest artists alive who are in the Metropolitan Museum of Art collection are the judges. So if they get a newer and a younger person, that person, it's added to the group of 5. So we'd always have the youngest 5 judging the competition, and people from all over New York area or even the whole US, whatever, get to submit. And we have that instead of Basel. Like, why are we need to go to Switzerland? I know it's fun and whatever, but even you can keep Switzerland and make this salon or whatever. But I believe we need something new without any curator, without any creep attached to it, just artists. I think when MoMA opened, I think they had Piet Mondrian in the MoMA, like saying yes to what they would want to collect. I believe, even though that it is happening, like it's very unknown, and I would like to see more transparency with regards to who gets into the museums, especially American museums. And yeah, maybe that's a good idea, that it can benefit people without having the filter of a creep, Right now, I want to explain to anybody who's an artist, because we're all artists here, so we can talk about things about how it works to have a show, I guess, in New York or all over the world. I've had shows in New York City, across the US and Europe, so I'm qualified to say how it works. If it's a group show, you send the painting, and then if you're lucky, someone buys it, and then you get half of that money, right? And that can take, from when you send the painting, probably months, right? So I don't know, it could be like 6 or a year, but usually like the least it would be like 3 months, like the very, very least. So yeah, just to see how slow people get money, if you're lucky, which is like right now, probably like 5% of arts in a group, like paintings in a group show sell. Like that's the truth. And I'm in the middle of it. 5%, I repeat, of all group shows is sold. Anything else is not sold. That's where we are right now. And you can say that it's whoever's fault, whatever, but again, I already said whose fault it is in my opinion, but I believe the current gallery system is a scam for the artist. And it only benefits people that want to make money off artists again. And nothing, even if you get money from a gallery, like it's not really benefiting you. Like selling out of a studio, for example, if that's what I do, it will get you 100% of the money that you sell the painting for. So why would you go and give somebody else your painting that there's a 5% chance that will be like sold, and then it would take months to be paid for? Like that's insane. Like nobody thinks about that. Even people that are thinking about having a show right now are like, oh, I need to come up with a show. Like come up with a show, make the show, and then sell the show. That's like 1.5 years. So if you're short on money, like short term, you're doomed. And that's why a lot of painters have stopped painting, because it's so painful to even attempt to try or attempt to go through these like hurdles basically. So I believe we deserve something better. And yeah, like in the end, it doesn't really matter. Galleries move on from artists, like they let them go, just see pace. Patrons move on and they leave us in the dust. Curators move on and they leave us in the dust. Historically, even with Warhol, like many patrons of Warhol, they only bought works from him for a year, for 10 years, something like that, and then they would move on to different art. Or even like Henry Gautzeller, the one that I talked about before, that he was a curator, he ended up shunning Warhol out of the Venice Biennale. So like never, like these people are not there for you, they're there for themselves. Even if they help you a little bit, just know that patrons, curators, collectors, galleries, they're just there for themselves. They never want to help us, otherwise they would. And by help us, I mean like putting us in first place, which we are. Like we create the whole economy and they benefit and they treat us as if we are a part of it. It's like, no, we are the economy. That's what I just said about like the Warhol economy or Frida. Like there's no like curator economy. There's no collector economy. There's no patron economy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like we're so valuable. They want to make you feel like, oh yeah, you're a part of it. It's like, no, we're everything. Artists are everything. We need more. We need more, you know, like, and it's so hard because right now, for example, I was reading that Warhol had a Union Square factory, right? That when he started that factory, which everybody calls it the factory, but it was more, he called it Andy Warhol Films or something like that. Like he wanted to just make movies, even though he's also painted. But he had this Union Square studio that it was 3,200 square feet, right? So back then I went to check and he was paying $400 of rent. I'll repeat, for a 3,200 square foot studio in Union Square, Warhol was paying $400 in 1967. And you can say like, oh, but what about like the inflation or whatever? Like right now, $400 of 1960s is $4,000. So $4,000, and you can say, wow, that's a lot. $4,000 like doesn't get you a Union Square studio. That's what, like, it gets you at best a Brooklyn studio. If we wanted to get, I checked, I think the square foot in Union Square right now is going around like $40 to $60, and 40 times 3,200, that's 160,000. That's how much it would cost. So like 6 figures for a Union Square studio. And how is a painter supposed to get there with this bad, like, support system, with this awful quality of art dealers, with this collectors that believe we're disposable, with this curators that think we're like a fad or whatever, like, or you came and went kind of thing. It's like people don't understand. That's the thing. It's so crazy, but I guess, yeah, in the end, what matters, and out of the thing that I talked to before with Fran Lebowitz, that when all the people from the AIDS epidemic died, who we have today are the last man standing, right? And all these people, especially the ones who were 30 and 20 in the 80s, who you do the math, like, if they're still alive, it's because they were losers back then. Otherwise, they would have died. So right now, the message to me has been, like, just stay alive, basically. And that goes for every artist out there. Like, in 20 years, none of these dealers that are right now are going to be even alive, some of them. Well, especially the ones that I've talked to before. So, like, when we are, yeah, like 50 or whatever, like, these guys will be dead and we'll be at our literal prime. So, like, who cares what they think? Like, who cares what the critics of now think? Who cares about the galleries of now think? We only need to be focusing in the future. They've let us in the dust, and that's it. It's over. Like, we are going to take over with the help of this technology that I'm using right now to communicate my ideas. We are going to create a network that will be stronger, and so we can be bulletproof with regards to people trying to hurt artists. For the past 50 years, they've had free range, doing everything to artists, pillaging us, putting us against each other, and I believe it's over. I believe the only thing that will make an artist is the person who does whatever it takes. Like, that's whatever it takes to become an artist, that's what you have to do. And that's our challenge today. I have this quote that I saw a video of Frank Stella saying this quote, but I can't find it. Maybe I'll find it for this video. But Frank Stella said that he heard Franz Klein saying this, right? He was like, do you want to know, this is what Franz Klein said, do you want to know who's a good young artist? Do you want to know who is a good young artist? And he said, throw them all down the drain, and the first one that crawls up is the good artist. I feel that's exactly what they're doing with us. They're trying to flush us down the drain, and some of us will come up. We'll all crawl our way up, and doesn't matter what you do. Stop listening to all these people. Like I said, we're going to find them all, and we're going to realize that none of them matter. Only listen to yourself. Listen to your artist friends. That's okay. Just remember that we artists have the hardest job in the world. We were given a gift and the curse that our job is to bear our soul to be judged. Just think about that. We have to bear our soul every day when we make art, and it's there to be judged. And just remember, out of the conversation that Joe Haig had with Jordan Peterson, I had this quote that he says, a Russian proverb that he said, when you judge, you're flattering the devil. Something along those lines. But I believe it's very true that instead of nurturing artists, we have become a society of judging artists, which is disgusting, and it needs to end right now. And you can keep judging, just remember you're flattering the devil. And if you are flattering the devil, then who do you serve? Think about that. Just let go. And if you're making art, keep making art. And if you're not making art,